gosh, look at the crowd.
Come this way.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Welcome to LMDtv. I'm Ashwini Vethakan. Joining us this week on Talking Business is the Chief Executive Officer for Bodyline, Dinesh De Silva. Welcome to the show, Dinesh. It's good to have you here with us.
Thank you very much for having me as a...
Now, Dinesh, the Joint Apparel Association Forum has formulated a 5-point framework to coordinate the industry's response to challenges stemming from COVID-19. In what ways would this sustain long-term growth of Sri Lanka's apparel industry?
I think this framework was established during the early stage of pandemic, and it's focusing on 5 areas, mainly focusing on the work environment, a safe working environment. We also emphasize the backward integration, the strength of our supply chain as well. And we also want to position our market position in the export, global apparel export market as well. And as well as also supporting small and medium scale enterprises in the industry. So I think it's a great effort that we have taken. So 5-point framework has formulated in response for the challenges stemming from COVID. If these areas be in focus and it's in the global pandemic, and a lot of work has been done, and I believe this will continue to drive the growth in the industry as well. And also we are at a very crucial junction, and going through 2 years and starting of 2022. And I'm happy to witness the apparel industry in Sri Lanka has bounced back to its 2019 level, which is pre-COVID level, recording about 20% growth year on year. So definitely this is a great place for us to start, and the work we have done. Challenges will be there. I think the industry is quite strong with the representation from big players around the industry, and I'm sure that we look forward for a greater 2022.
So in your assessment, what are the challenges faced by Sri Lanka's apparel industry, especially in context to the pandemic?
I believe context of pandemic, if you look at it, global pandemic, it's not just a pandemic relevant for Sri Lankan market. And as compared to our ethnic conflict that we had 30 years, and the industry grew during that period. So the first point is we are in a global pandemic. So for whatever said and done, we are together in facing the global pandemic. Definitely, I think we have 2 choices. Either we want to be a victim of the pandemic, or we need to look at to come out of this as a stronger and come back and bounce back as a stronger industry. I think even the 5-point plan that we have set up is poising us to be in that growth trajectory as we're speaking. One area is we also learn a lot during pandemic. The challenges was there, but we also saw great opportunities for us to bounce back. Look at beyond a new normal. Things that we thought will take a longer period, we were able to fast track some of those efforts that we were struggling to bring it and working with even with the brands. One example I can quote is the digitization. We couldn't visit our brands, partners. We had to work remotely. We need to send our designed innovation solutions. So we quickly adopt together with the brands in bringing digitization as a replacement for physical sampling and product development process. So we see this as great opportunities as we move forward. Greater collaborations within organization, we saw that. Partners coming, we saw the consolidation within the industry from technology, design, and development perspective also. However, converting challenges into opportunity is what we need to focus on as we progress. So there's a opportunity is there. So we want to take this as an opportunity than challenges. Challenges will be there as we speak, and it will come in different forms. but I think the greater opportunity we had to see what are the new opportunities that we have in this industry in taking forward is what I believe.
So what impact would you say have supply chain and freight disruptions had on the industry?
So if you look at it, the impact of supply chain is very significant in any apparel industry. I would say it is more significant in the growth of the apparel industry, and it impacts into the apparel industry in the current context. We are about a $5 billion industry. We have an aspirational target of growing this post-pandemic. Supply chain is a very pivotal aspect of this transformation, I would say. And pandemic hit us in two ways. One is the supply chain itself, because when the China and Vietnam and the Far Eastern region, our supply chain is from when they hit on COVID, and it has an impact on our supply chain and the flow of material into the country. And the second impact was the recent, about 6 months to 9 months back, we saw the increased demand for freight and the logistics. As a result of that, the freight rate increased almost 300% from pre-pandemic level. So that's a huge impact on our overall sustainability in the industry. So these are two waves that we have struggled. And currently we are going through the logistic challenges that we are facing. So that has been a challenge for us. So we took some sort of short-term and a long-term approach. In a short-term, measures have taken to work with brands on the extended lead times. So, brands accommodate, have a slightly longer lead time in order placement. So that has definitely would help us in addressing the current challenges. And Sri Lanka is definitely geographically positioning in a strategic for both sea and air routes of logistics. I'm sure that the work the state is doing and in the strategic location advantage that Sri Lanka is established, I think we have a great opportunity to leverage from a geographical positioning point of view for the logistic and supply chain. More long-term aspect is definitely we need to strengthen our supply chain presence in the region, in particular in Sri Lanka. If you look at it, still about 50% of our supply chain that we import from overseas. I would say this is the probably one of the significant unlock we have for our growth in the industry out of Sri Lanka. So whilst we looking at various opportunities to attract foreign direct investment in the backward integration of apparel industry, which is supply chain, and with the growth that we have projected, I think there's a opportunity for us to build the supply chain verticality in Sri Lanka, taking from about 50% of our raw material being procured within the country to about 65 to 70%. So I think that has been our approach, and we also happy to see some consolidation is taking place in the local supply chain partners, and there's a growth aspiration is there. I'm sure that with the support of the government policies, economic stability will help us to attract foreign direct investment in particular in the space of supply chain.
And on that note, we'll be going in for a short break.
You love the feeling of being renewed. To stay beautiful every single day. To breathe just like we do. Because you are truly delicate. Protecting the ones who've been with us through the years. With Sayalac Care, the only wood coating that truly protects you. Sayalac Wood Coatings from JAT.
Welcome back as we continue our conversation with the Chief Executive Officer of Bodyline, Dinesh De Silva. Now, Dinesh, could you outline the importance of GSP Plus to the apparel industry and the fallout if it is withdrawn?
So definitely, if you look at it, Sri Lanka has over the years have migrated from being a low-cost manufacturer to a value creator. We are not a cost advantage country anymore. We have slowly moved to a value creating industry. The work we do, the designs we offer, the technology we offer is at a level that we can claim that we will possibly lead in the global apparel industry to a great extent. So in that sense, when you look at the cost of manufacturing in Sri Lanka, is greater compared to countries like Bangladesh, India, and Indonesia. So therefore, having GSP plus in the short term is beneficial for us. But anyway, even though there is a risk of losing the eligibility status prematurely, since Sri Lanka was set up to graduate from a GSP plus scheme in 2023, as a country is being upgraded to a upper middle income country, we will move away from GSP benefit. So therefore, in the short term, there'll be an impact and the industry is working towards, but this is something we cannot claim as a long-term strategic advantage anymore. So as a result of that, we really need to look at a trade agreement, revisit trade agreements that we have with China, which is underway. India is a huge retail market. The brands are moving into Asia. So we need to look at connecting on a new trade blocks and agreement to fuel our growth out of Sri Lanka. And GSP plus is definitely an advantage in the short term, but not in a long term. So therefore, whilst in the short term, we secure on the efforts that been looked at, definitely from a trade agreement point of view, we need to have a long-term strategy. And this is something that the government and the industry is currently working together.
Now, environmental sustainability and ethical standards have proved a worthy investment for the future. But what more does the apparel industry need to do to up the ante?
So if you look at it, Ashwini, if apparel in the world apparel industry is the second largest polluter, and behind the oil and gas industry. It has a negative environmental impact in terms of landfill, greenhouse gas, toxic chemicals, and water pollution. So apparel is the second largest polluter in the world. So there's a lot of focus, from a fast fashion practices in the clothing industry, harm both our environment and the society, and bringing a bad reputation to the industry due to the minimum wages challenges, the harsh working condition. This is the context in the global environment. But in this, from a Sri Lankan context, as we have been able to position ourselves as a very positive to negate these vibes and practices, and by working with the renowned world brands, leading brands in the apparel market. And the programs that we conduct, Garments Without Guilt kind of thinking, has upheld sustainability practices in Sri Lanka. Last 20 years, we have worked very hard to gain this position. So in the current context, we are in a great position to take it forward. So definitely the brands in parallel, brands also becoming, and the consumers becoming very woke to the industry and the environmental hazardous that the product that brings from a landfill, etc. So there is a lot of pressure for the brands as well. So brands have embraced a sustainability as a key driver and a strategy in their growth plans as well. So I'm happy to say that the industry in Sri Lanka has worked very closely with association, bringing kind of material from a sustainability point of view, recycle and true cycle, and biodiversity restoration, seed bombing, and kind of creating a very conducive environment from a sustainability point of view. And also industry has taken the advantage of the renewable energy solar power program that was offered to the industry about 3 to 4 years back. And we have most of our industries have their rooftops converted into solar power as well. So recycling is exploring value addition through the waste, and there are a lot of initiatives have been taken to position ourselves as a both from a product and the process and the people standpoint in bringing sustainability agenda as we move forward in 2022 and beyond. And the work we had done for last 20 years, I think definitely have positioned us at a very different place as compared to the other countries that we are competing. So from a product point of view, we have elevated, from a technology point of view, we have elevated, the manufacturing practices has elevated. At the same time, we have also elevated the environmental and social and working environment that we offer to our team members, and the government and the framework we have, the legal framework we have also have helped us to position ourselves as a preferred destination to work with the world renowned brands that industry is working currently.
A final question for you this evening, Dinesh. Is the $10 billion goal for Sri Lankan apparel exports by 2025 viable?
I think $10 billion, first of all, is a very aspirational target. And I think when we had a $3 billion target and a $5 billion target, and when the industry was formulation strategies back in time, we were at a very different environment. We were fighting on our own in Sri Lanka because we were on a civil war for 20 years. So the industry grew in an internal conflict and a challenging environment. We built the industry, we built the backward integration during that period. And from there, from a 5 billion to 10 billion, definitely an aspirational target. I think we need to have that kind of level of aspiration for us to move forward for a couple of reasons. One is we have an industry has the great talent, from our associates to the management to the leadership. We have a great talent in this country. I think we really need to harvest and to take it forward. The innovation we bring, the engineering mindset we have, institutions that work on research and development and innovation. And the industry has, over the years, have invested back to the business, also have helped us to move forward. So that is one aspect of it. Second one is we as a country has a great partnership with almost all leading apparel brands that we serve. So we have, it's not just a transactional, it's about partnership. It's about the investment we have made. So I think there's a great partnership has built over the years, and the brands as well also looking at consolidating their supply chain post pandemic. Due to financial strength of the supply chain, the verticality of supply chain. So the work we have done to grow and build partnership with brands, and the brands also have reciprocate by way of working with us as well as consolidating this aspect of it. The third point is we have, as an industry, we also have gone beyond Sri Lankan manufacturing footprint. We have gone to African region, we have presence in Bangladesh, we have presence in India, we have presence in closer to the US market. So this has helped us to play in both kind of value creation versus cost competitiveness as well. So through that, we've been able to attract brands to work in this extended manufacturing footprint and the supply chain that we have established. So with these initiative, with these efforts we have built, I'm very positive that the aspiration that we have of $10 billion is a collective responsibility of the industry and the state in building the right environment and infrastructure to fuel this growth in next 5 years or 3 to 5 years. Whether we'll be short of 10 billion, it's not what matters. It's about establishing the right foundation, the environment, and the economic climate for us to attract foreign direct investment to the industry. Our weakest link is supply chain, as I said. So I think it's very important that we bring the supply chain if we are to grow beyond the current level. Work being done by the industries, but the work that the state can help the industry in terms of stable economic and political environment, conducive for indirect investment, incentive schemes, supporting small scale manufacturing in the industry, which need to coexist with the big players, will definitely poise us ourselves to grow into a very aspirational growth target for the industry as we go on. And a time that we are talking about the importance of forex remittance to the country and forex reserves in the country. So, and it's time for Sri Lanka to elevate the current competitive advantage it has over other countries in a clear vision, a long-term plan, in a collaboration with the industry and the state, and building partnership with brands that we have built already, which is a huge advantage and a great strength we have achieved over the years of working with great brands that we serve out of Sri Lanka, and our manufacturing footprint that we have extended outside Sri Lanka as well. So I think these frameworks is underway, and also we have industry has a one voice to the government, and also to when need, even for the brands coming together, have a one voice, one leadership, and the great strength of talent that we have. The work we have done for last 20 years on positioning Sri Lanka as a niche value creator destination will definitely position ourselves to grow into the aspiration that we have set up. And also working with brands during last 2 years of pandemic also have proven our professionalism and the leadership that we have in the industry. The skills we have industry have gained a greater reputation before it was, and I think that also will certainly help us to navigate as we move forward.
Well, this has been an interesting conversation and has definitely shed some light to the current outlook of the textile and apparel industry for Sri Lanka. Thank you for joining us on the show this evening, Dinesh.
Thank you very much, Ashwini, for having me today, and greatly appreciate your interaction as well.
Coming up, we have the latest updates from Sri Lanka's economy. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show, and here are the latest updates from the island's economy. Sri Lanka's growth prospects for 2022 have been dampened by macroeconomic headwinds, according to a recent update to the Asian Development Bank's Outlook 2021 report, which cites the country's declining foreign reserves and substantial external debt repayments as concerns. Against this backdrop, perceptions in business circles and the economic climate over the next 12 months continue to deteriorate in December. According to the latest LMD Nielsen IQ Business Confidence Index or BCI survey, the majority of 71% of respondents expect conditions to worsen, up from 55% who said so in the previous month. Moreover, the share of participants with an optimistic outlook has also declined, as a mere 5% believe the economy will improve next year, while nearly a quarter expect conditions to stay the same. When it comes to business prospects, however, the outlook has improved somewhat. Where the long term is concerned, 86% versus the 65% in November anticipate an improvement in sales volumes over the next 12 months. In contrast, 4% have a pessimistic view, while 1 in 10 say sales will remain the same during this period. As for the short term, nearly half of those consulted by the pollsters expect sales volumes to increase over the next 3 months, compared to 41% who expressed this sentiment in the preceding month. Furthermore, 47% believe that business will stay the same and another 4% expect a decline in sales. In addition, 48% of survey participants revealed that their business volumes deteriorated in the last 12 months compared to 2020. Perceptions regarding the investment climate in the country have declined, with the large majority, 90%, up from 75% in the prior month, describing it as poor or worse. Meanwhile, a mere 1% of the survey sample considers conditions to be favorable, with 9% saying the investment climate is fair. With regard to the workforce, the share of corporates planning to increase their staff numbers over the next 6 months has declined to 7% from 10% in November. On the other hand, 88% of poll respondents say their businesses will maintain their workforce, while 5% expect to retrench staff in the coming 6 months. And that's all the time we have for you this week. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for watching and stay safe.